But yes, I am here on what is normally my day off. Only joking. But Charlotte is here as well. Charlotte, how are you?
I'm really, really good, thank you. Apart from hay fever, I think I say it every pod episode, but I'm being
I
taken
knew it.
out by the pollen, and it's really annoying me. But apart from that, I am good. How are you?
Oh, do you know what? We should kill all the flowers. That's what
I
we
know.
should do. Just kill all the flowers. But we're here today. We're going to be discussing real football. Real football teams who play real football for real fans in real stadiums and all of that jazz. Not to diminish the Premier League, but you're just rich, snobby show-offs. This is the real deal. But of course, as you can imagine, being a Liverpool fan, I haven't had many brushes with lower league football. So, of course, I shall be relying very heavily on a lower league expert, the queen of real football, the bestest,
We've got that far.
yeah, the bestest lower league analyzer, if that's a word, in all of podcasting. We shall be relying on Charlotte's wisdom and grace and stuff just to get us through this evening. so the plan is I'll talk about stuff that I know, but Charlotte, everybody's pleased to know that Charlotte's going to be dominating this evening's podcast on the first light bite that I've done since we did our karaoke sing-alongs.
I know, since we're singing, that was a fun episode.
I
That was a
know
good episode.
it's been so long. Must have put everybody off that much.
We need to do
it's
it
just gonna
again.
happen
We need to do it again.
We shall do. Well, we've got weeks to kill coming up. So if anybody's got any
Exactly.
suggestions of things they'd like to see, let us know. As in stuff they'd like us to do on the podcast, not anything else. But in the chat, we do have the Dugout Football channel. Welcome. I hope you enjoy it. If you've missed my wonderful introduction already, we are doing the teams that have been promoted from the real football leagues, and the real queen of lower league football. Young Charlotte is going to be guiding us through, hopefully hiding my lack of knowledge of some of these teams, God willing. But thank you for everybody who's coming in. Feel free to join in. Let us know what you think. So the plan is we're going to go through all the teams, what's happened, and how do we think they're going to be looking. So Charlotte, obviously, the first teams we're going to look at is the ones that are now going to be considered the money teams. They're going to be loaded, rolling in dollar now for the next 4 years at the very least, as they got their first year in the Premier League, then 3 years parachute payments they're going to be getting, which is, of course, Burnley, Sheffield United, and Luton Town. Hopefully, I've got all these teams right. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, Charlotte, first of all, Burnley rocketed it.
They did kind of surprise me because I thought they'd do okay, but I didn't expect them to win it. And obviously, new manager change, new style in football, altogether. They've had some really big changes, Burnley, so I wasn't really expecting much, but they've been absolutely brilliant, haven't they? Vincent Kompany's really taken it on his stride. I wasn't too sure at first whether it'd be, because he's not had much experience, has he? But just the contacts he's had and just what he's done with Burnley altogether, it's amazing. He's done brilliant.
And he managed to get rid of Wout Weghorst for a whole season.
I know.
I mean, what a performance that was! What an absolute beautiful piece of work there. And just we've got Lisa and Simon in the chat. Hello to you both. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, I mean, and they did. I mean, Chris as well. They said Burnley did a brilliant. They did have a few loan players, but Company did a brilliant job. I mean, to be fair, I think all the teams have loan players in that in the lower leagues as you drop down, because it's a money saver, helps everybody else out. But yeah, I mean, but they did the. And I, like you said, the thing that impressed me was just the style of football change.
It's just mad. From going to Daesh football to now this like possession-based Vincent Kompany football. It doesn't really. It's mental seeing Burnley do it because you're just so familiar with the Daesh, the dirty football, aren't you?
I don't know if I like it in a way. I really don't know if I like it, but I mean, but they are up. And what we're going to do, just so everybody knows, we're going to go through the teams, and then at the end, we're going to find out who Charlotte thinks is going to stay up, and we're going to hold her to it. And then next year, we can give a bit of grief if it doesn't actually happen. And there's Finbar in the chat as well. Welcome, Finbar. Hope you are doing well, sir. But we've got. Let's catch up with some of these chats. A Claret one saying one of the best seasons ever as a Burnley fan. And Chris, don't give it away yet. It's premature. We'll ask you at the end. He thinks it's him. We'll ask you at the end. But Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best scenes. I mean, they seemed quite dominant throughout the whole of the season. I mean, I don't think from sort of 7 games in, they looked pretty much like they were going to be kicking there or they were about to throughout the whole way. It is. Do you get a
Yeah,
lot of that consistency in the championship? Do you think?
they never really drifted off, did they, at all? I think they had like a couple of bad results here and there, but they never really went through a really bad phase. And yeah, they were just true champions, really, weren't they? And just what you want in a side, and they just kind of thought we're going for this. And Vincent Company, like I said, has just gone all out, and they won it.
I mean, at least in the chat saying Company was amazing. Chris said he saw them playing. It was decent football every time he saw them play live.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and they did. They sort of, yeah, they were dominant. They're consistent. Well done, Vincent Company. And the next, Sheffield United. I'll be honest, I'm a bit bummed. Sheffield United got promoted. I don't know why. There's just something I don't like about Sheffield United. And I apologize for the Sheffield United fans. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. But I mean, what did you think of their performance throughout the season?
To be fair, when I did some predictions, I didn't have them to be promoted, but I had them round and about the playoffs. I think they're quite a strong team, and they are one of them teams who most seasons are round and about there. Obviously, the last few years we've seen them in the Premier League as well. But yeah, a bit like Burnley actually. They wasn't obviously as good as Burnley throughout the season. They had a few rocky patches, but there were no one really catching them. It got to the point towards the end of the season where there were quite a few points clear, so they were never really in trouble, worthy of dropping off.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I remember when we did our lower league reviews on the Mondays, it was that last sort of 10, 12 games. They were very, very solid and consistent up there. I mean, and I'm just looking at their form of the last 6 games that they played this season. They won all of them bar one. Just pretty impressive. Not even Burnley at that sort of form, although to be fair, they were sort of there already. And we've got Danny in the chat as well. Good evening, Danny. Thank you for joining us. And feel free to let us know in the chat what you think of the team performances.
Obviously, as well, they got to we're at a semi-final. They played Manchester City, didn't they?
They did get quite far.
Have they got a couple of loan signings from Manchester City as well who couldn't play that? So I think their loan signings from City have been quite strong for them. I can't remember their names, but I'm sure they've had a couple of loan signings that have done quite well for them.
Do you mean to say that Man City might have a lot of good young players that they're hoarding?
Saying nothing.
That's a surprise. Chris is saying
they've got a lot of good players in general. Never mind young players.
I mean, Chris is saying McAtee. Apparently, he's one of them. He's from City, and he's got Ndeye played well for Sheffield United and scored some crucial goals. Is he the signing that when they brought him in? Ndeye, they were doing that Whitney Houston song. And
I'm sure, yes.
will always love you. I'm sure it was.
I think it was.
It's always singing when we're together. It's always singing. and Tommy Doyle from City as well. So they did have some City players in there. I mean, I didn't catch any of their football. Was it nice football?
To be honest, I didn't really catch much of it, but I can imagine it was all right, seeing as though we've got some points and they've got promoted.
Yeah, I mean, they scored 73 goals. I think there was only only 2 teams that scored more of them, Burnley and Middlesbrough. And looking at this, conceded 39, which is one of the meanest defences. Again, only one team, I believe, conceded less, and that was Burnley. So if you score lots, you don't concede lots. That's a lovely mix, isn't it? But then in the playoff,
I'm not familiar with that. Being a Rochdale fan, I'm not familiar. We concede loads and we don't score many.
Wow, there's one exception to the rule, I suppose.
Exactly.
But I mean, the next couple of teams were Luton, Middlesbrough, Coventry, and Sunderland that all went through to the playoffs. I mean, Blackburn missed out on the playoffs. I thought Blackburn were going to be there or thereabouts, given the way that they sort of started and where they were midway through the season.
They seem to do that, don't they? And they seem to go on a good run and then drift off. But I think they had a couple of injuries as well. But I honestly thought Millwall were going to do it, but obviously they drifted off as well.
They had a dreadful. I'm looking at
They did.
Millwall's here. I mean, they had out the last 6, 1, 2, 3, 4 losses, and picked up 6 points on the last 6 games, which isn't ideal. And considering they missed out by 1 point because they had a better goal difference than Sunderland, no, they didn't. Did they? Better goal difference than Blackburn Rovers, and yeah, you would imagine they would have got themselves into the playoffs. And so that's sad. That is sad, Millwall. But I mean, to be honest, Coventry sort of come out of nowhere for me to bring themselves into the playoffs. And it's because, I mean, I sort of was hanging my hat on Middlesbrough going up, who fell short to Coventry by a goal. And I'm not sure if you saw it. On Twitter, there were videos of Middlesbrough fans say after the 0-0 draw, saying, it's fine, don't worry, we'll beat them. And then there was another video of them when they lost 1-0 going, well, they'll never do well anyway.
They got really cocky, didn't they? They got really cocky, Middlesbrough. And I think, to be fair play to them, and they deserve to be, really, from the position he was in before Michael Carrick, and even Coventry, the positions they were in at the beginning of the season, and then what their managers have done for them and turned it around is just fantastic, because I was really worried for both teams. I know, obviously, you can go on good runs and stuff, but at the start, I was really worried for both. And yeah, it was a bit of a shock with Middlesbrough, but there's always that one team, isn't there, that has a really good run, you think, and they nailed on to get promoted, and they tend to drift off. And obviously we'll get onto them next, but Ipswich have been kind of that team for a few seasons. So there's always that one.
But I mean, obviously it came down to Luton and Coventry. We spoke about it Monday, so I'm not going to labour the point, but I'm really pissed off that Luton beat Coventry. It really upset me. I'm really bitter about it. But yeah, Luton won. Well done, Luton. I mean, to be fair, for both teams, I mean, and Simon in the chat, Mark Robbins is king.
He's phenomenal. Yeah. He's phenomenal.
I mean, they were really struggling at the start of the season. They seemed to be in that sort of, and to be honest, I was happy that they looked like they were going to be sort of above 20th in the top 20. I was quite happy with that and thought that's solid. But to go on the run they had and to end up in the playoff finals, it was just devastating.
So underrated. It doesn't get. I'm not saying Coventry fans don't, but just football in general, football fans, they don't give Mark Robbins the credit he deserves, because he's done such a good job. And you think of the struggles Coventry have been through recently, and what he's done to that club, and the signings he makes as well.
It's so clever. It's really shrewd. The club's been run really shrewdly, but it is a shame. But we are going to talk about Luton. I mean, for me, Luton came out of nowhere. Lovely story. I mean, for people that don't know, 10 years ago, they were semi-professional. And to come up 70 years, is it? 70 years and 10 years?
Yeah.
So that means there's only 3 seasons where they didn't get promotion, which is just absolutely mental. And I mean, Chris in the chat, they did well, especially after losing Tom Lockyer in the final.
Do you know what I love as well about Luton? I think it was Watford who sat their manager this season. So he's been sat by them, gone to Luton, and been promoted to the Premier League in one season. I'm sure it was Watford.
Then
again, Watford have sacked everyone, haven't they?
I was going to say, you could be walking down the street and you've heard, the rule's only 3 steps removed. You're probably only ever 3 steps removed from a former Watford manager, I would imagine. How did Luton get the ground ready for the Prem?
I can't wait for that. Imagine Erling Haaland going to Luton, walking in that ground.
You'd be in your garden, wouldn't you? Just taking pictures of him walking past and stuff. I mean, I think Chris in the chat said is Rob Edwards is the manager, and he was indeed the one that was sacked by. I love the fact that Chris always seems to know all of these things. I know. Chat. He's such a
thank God he's resource. Here.
But I don't know what. I mean, I think I'm assuming once they get in the Premier League that they're bound to be of a size which they can hold them. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know what they do. I mean, there's a lot of work that's going to have to take place. I believe there's a lot of money being spent on it.
Is one of their stands as well standing?
They want to open
Oh, we've got one as well. Imagine in the Premier League. I'm sure one of them is actually a terrace where people stand. I could be wrong, and it might have updated it since. But last time I went, it was.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
that was like many years ago.
well, I'm just taking a look. I mean, they've got a £10 million upgrade taking place at the moment on the Kenilworth Road, whatever that means to anybody. So there is work. I'm starting on there because they are going to have to do some work to get it ready. Because you've got it's got to be a certain size. They can't have safe standing, and they're going to have to get things ready for VAR. That's going to have to
Exactly.
that's going to have to be in place as well. I'm just looking to see if there's anything on there. The boxes are stripped out. So they're doing work. So they've got the capacity. So they're 10,000. So that is double the Premier League's requirement. But it falls shy of the league's broadcasting and facilities. It might not have good enough Wi-Fi. That could be that could very well be an issue, because that is one of the Premier League's criteria. Is you need to have a certain standard of Wi-Fi in order for them to get everything done. But no, they have work done. Chris has said Kenilworth will be in for a shock when Liverpool City United show up. It will be. I mean, do you think that stadium was going to work in their favour though for when the big teams arrive?
I think so, and especially because it's like I've mentioned to you on the other pods, it is like there's houses and everything around it as well. I saw a picture the other day of some man peeping out of his attic with the window open watching the football. But I think because you always see it in like FA Cups and stuff, don't you? When they obviously play, the higher teams play at like the lower teams' grounds and stuff, you've got the crowd behind them and things like that. And I think even though the players are so used to playing like in front of big, massive crowds, I just think with it being so intimate, that can be a lot more daunting than playing in front of like all these people and stuff. I honestly think it could.
I mean, because you see pictures. I mean, a lot of these documentaries are showing us now is like in places like City, when you go into their changing room and Arsenal's, they're immaculate. They're huge. They're spacious. They've got all these facilities. I can't imagine Luton Town's, away end changing room's going to be this beautiful facility. They might have hot water, maybe, but
it's like around the ground as well. Like on one of the walls, is like graffiti all over the walls.
It's just magic.
I love
it's
it.
magic. But I mean, out of these three, then, Shah, I'm not going to ask you for positions.
Yes.
Do you think Burnley are going to be staying up?
I do, yeah.
Sheffield United?
No.
Oh, how and Luton? Do you think Luton are going to do it?
I don't think so. I just think because there's so many like other teams now just competing, like the players they've got, the quality they've got. I know the teams do get parachute payments, but I just think Luton and Sheffield United will struggle. We've seen Sheffield United struggle in the past as well, so they may learn, but I do think those two teams will go down. That's my opinion, no, and usually I'm wrong.
You know what? I mean, I agree with you with Bournemouth. However, I have a sneaky feeling that Luton might scrape it,
Really?
I do. I think Sheffield are going to go down. I mean, I think I don't know. I don't know who's going to go down next year. I think the Premier League's going to be horribly competitive. But I mean, you got some of the. This isn't Premier League today, but there are some teams that I think that are going to have manager issues and could struggle. Yeah. But I just think that unknown. I think if they can get some good home form, and if the fixture list is kind to them and they have more home games in that first 10 matches, I think that could be quite pivotal. I think that could be pivotal. But next up, so promoted to the Championship from League One, we have Plymouth Argyle, Ipswich, and Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, Plymouth, I'm elated for Plymouth. I think that's absolutely bloody lovely that they got promoted. Have they ever been in the Premier League?
I don't think so. Not that I can recall.
I don't think they have. So it's been a long time since they've been in the Championship, to my knowledge. So they have had quite a plunder. So they to get up there, that was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah. To be fair, I'm happy for all them teams because they're the three strongest teams, and obviously, when we've been talking about it on the podcast, they've always been the three at the top. They've just always been like week by week, it's rotation. But Plymouth, they've got a good bunch of players. They play some really good football. But Schumacher as well, who's in charge, I shouldn't like him because he has links with Bury, who are obviously our rivals, but he's just a young up-and-coming manager, and he was actually under Ryan Lowe when he was manager, and he's obviously gone to Preston now when he was at Plymouth. So they're doing some really good things at Plymouth, and it's really nice because I've always had quite a soft spot for them. The fans as well, whenever we've played them, they've always been really nice, really nice about obviously Rochdale as well. So I am happy for Plymouth.
Yeah, I mean, and just catching up on the chat, Chris doesn't think Luton survived because he doesn't think they could sign 30 players. They could do a Forest showing that you can. Simon says he's not sure what the other
They'll
two.
get relegated.
He thinks Luton's going to go straight back down. And apparently, yeah, Plymouth were never in the Premier League. And Chris has also said Stephen Schumacher might not be at Plymouth because he's wanted by a few clubs such as Swansea. I'd like to think, though, if you get promoted, though, wouldn't you want to have a go at the next step? Or do you think managerial life is so short that you've just got to take what you can?
I think it really depends on like the club's ambitions and like the budget and stuff that they think they can obviously work with. And if obviously a club comes in with for a higher budget to kind of, I think it does depend on the size of the club and obviously how big of a job they think it is and what they're offering you. If I was him, I personally would stick with Plymouth, but Swansea are quite a big club, aren't they? So you never know.
They're the other team in Wales. But they finished. I mean, actually, I think this is spot on exactly the same points that Burnley had, 101 points.
No way.
They finished on, I thought I recognised that number. But yeah, they both finished on 101 points, scoring 82 goals and conceding 47. So the goal difference, 35, is not quite as good as Burnley's. But their form was really good, especially in the run-in towards the end of the season to secure that position. Next up was Ipswich. 98 points. And again, I mean, as you said, they scored 101 goals. Which is, I haven't got my calculator. Otherwise, I'd do the maths of what 101 goals is over 46 games. But that's not bad, is it?
No, they've like I mentioned before, Ipswich have always been one of them teams where they've always been round and about, but they've always seemed to miss out. And obviously this time they've done it. New manager as well. I think he's called McKenna. He was at Manchester United, so. Like Vincent Kompany, like Michael Carrick, he's obviously got some connections as well, which always does help a club at lower league because you can get your loan signings in. Obviously, I think we mentioned off air as well, didn't we, about the owners?
They've got fairly wealthy owners, yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got a bit of dollar behind them, but I think it works out to just over 2 goals a game. They scored, which is, I mean, and conceding less than a goal a game. That's pretty spectacular.
That's some doing, isn't it? That is some doing.
Plus 66 goal difference. I mean, that is certainly the best. No team in the Championship had that. Obviously, no team in the League One had that. I doubt very much in League Two. And that's plus 66 goal difference. I haven't looked to see if anyone in the Premier League did that. I'll take a quick goosey gander. No, Man City was 61. Oh, and yeah, just 61.
That's what. Go on, sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, it's very admirable, that is.
Yeah, from like being in League One previously with Rochdale, I find with League One more, they do try and play more football and like more prettier football than obviously when you go down to League Two, it's more like the aggressive and just
industrial.
Yeah, pretty much. But from experience in League One, they do play some good stuff. So that's why I think like your likes of Plymouth and Ipswich and things, it does allow them to play the football they want to play in the style of play. Whereas in League Two, it is just kind of like out for yourself, hoof, go in there.
Kill or be killed.
Yeah.
but
Try or die.
But the next team is Hogwarts based Sheffield Wednesday. I still can't get over that. That is such a Hogwarts logo. That is unbelievable. The sorting hat to put you into Sheffield Wednesday, who had 96 points, so 96, 2 points behind Ipswich. I mean, again, very admirable. I mean, a goal difference of 44, which is higher than Plymouth's. So they scored 81 goals, very high scoring and good form. They sort of crept up, if I remember correctly, as well. They weren't right there for a while, and then they would just become solid, didn't they?
They became solid, but then they kind of had a really bad patch because they were top. They were top for a while, and I think they had a couple of games in hand as well. And then they kind of drifted off a bit. And it was between them and Plymouth, obviously, at the top, each week at a change. And then, obviously, on their downfall, Ipswich then crept up on them, got automatics. But they were in there for a while. And I actually thought towards the end, not towards the end, towards like before, I can't just, at one point, I thought they were actually going to win it. And then, like I said, they had that bad patch and then it was kind of touch and go. But I am really glad for Chef Wednesday because I just think the turnaround they did against Peterborough, imagine doing that and then losing.
It would have been wasted, wouldn't it? It would have been wasted.
Yeah.
I mean, and what a lovely story as well with, is it Josh Windass? Is that Dean's son? I mean, scoring in the death, right at the very death.
I know.
I mean, I don't know if you follow his dad on Twitter, but his dad did quite an emotional video, where he had more than a little tear in his eye. Obviously, saying it was him, and now he's his boy scoring it, and that's remarkable. We talk about death, right at the death, both in against Peterborough and. That was marvelous, wasn't it?
Did you see as well? I don't know if you did, but I shared it on my Twitter, and it was Barry Bannon and his daughter at like the celebration parade or whatever it was, and they were all singing. All the fans were singing Barry Bannon's song, and his daughter was stood up singing it with all the fans. Honestly, it was the sweetest thing ever.
And let's be fair, that's one of the best names in football, isn't it? Yeah. Barry Bannon.
Barry Bannon.
Barry Bannon.
No way I say it, Barry Bannon.
Barry Bannon. Barry Bannon. Barry Bannon. They're Scottish. Then I was starting to go, we're a bit Barry Bannon. I mean, Chris is saying there's still a massive club, Chef Wednesday.
Yeah.
I think I prefer Sheffield Wednesday to United. Maybe that's why.
I think I do. I think
maybe that's why I'm so bitter about it. Yeah, I think it's. I look at that. I mean, I just think of Harry Potter and Ron Hermione every time I see that.
I think of Ron.
Ron Weasley. Have you seen
Hagrid.
that? You've got kids. You're bound to have seen that. Ron Weasley. If you haven't seen it, Dumbledore. Ron. Dear me. And Football United TV. Hello, you're coming in at a wonderful time. We're singing Harry Potter songs to the Sheffield Wednesday badge. What a time to be alive. But yeah, I think it's great that they come up. Ipswich, I think it's nice that Ipswich we're in Ipswich. It's not nice that Ipswich we're in a bad place. It's nice that they're rebuilding themselves back up from where they are into the Championship now. Because for me, they were always a Premier League staple.
I was going to say that, and a bit of a blast from the past, but I remember back in the day, collecting the football stickers when everyone used to collect them, and Ipswich were always there, and it's obviously so sad to see the downfalls, but it's good to see them rebuild themselves again because Ipswich are a big club as well, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think to be fair, of all the promotions that we're going to look at, these League One promotions are the ones that I'm happiest about. I really, really chuffed that all three of these teams went up. And Martin in the chat here, Green Army, and thank you for joining
Green
us.
Army.
You're quite lucky because this is the Lite Bite. When Sam and Charlotte do the Lite Bite, they do it properly, and it's like a 20-minute pod. I come in and just I just toss the whole thing.
I like it. I can talk. I can talk. I'm well up for it.
Yeah, I always mess up the Lite Bite all the time. I say to my wife, it's 20 minutes. It won't be long.
It's lower league, though. Lower league. You've got to concentrate on lower league, haven't we?
Exactly. I mean, but I genuinely, I'm really happy with all of these teams that have come up. I think it's great for Plymouth. I don't know what it is. I've got such a soft spot for Plymouth. I think it's because of where it is. In the country, they have nice pies and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I love the accent. I love the kits. The kits are always really nice. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I genuinely, I think of the three teams personally. Well, let me know. Who do you think? Plymouth, do you think they're up or down next season? Do you think they're staying up or coming back down?
I think they could I'm not saying they're going to go down. I think they'll struggle Out of them three, I think they'll struggle more, but I think there's a few teams that are in the championship now who have been on a bit of a progressive downfall, the past few seasons, who have just scraped it. So I don't think any of them three will get relegated, but I think out of the three, Plymouth will be the one, further down than the other two.
Well, I mean, you've got to remember in the championship, I mean, Reading and Wigan both went down because of points deductions. So you had Cardiff, Rotherham, QPR, and Cardiff, even Huddersfield up until
I think Birmingham as well. I don't think Birmingham have settled like their troubles yet, and they've had some nightmare seasons.
I agree. I mean, Ipswich, are they staying up for you?
I think so. I just think with McKenna's connections and just the style of football they play, I think obviously the funding behind them as well, I think they will. I don't think they will get playoffs, but I think they might be top half or just, top of the bottom half.
So if you're a betting man, Charlotte is telling you to put money on Ipswich being
I'm not. Don't gamble. Don't gamble, everybody. Look what happened to Tony. Do not gamble.
I mean, and Sheffield Wednesday, are they staying up?
I think so.
Well, and I mean, and Martin's saying the Championship will be better than the Premier League this season. So many excellent teams. And Plymouth will prove you wrong. In Schumacher, we trust.
I do want them to do well. And like I said, I don't think they'll get relegated. I just think out of those three teams, they will be the ones who struggle out of those three. But I do think they will be safe.
I mean, and to be honest, I'm with Chris. I do think all three teams
same.
Can stay up. I mean, because I genuinely think you've got Cardiff, Huddersfield, Birmingham definitely are going to struggle. I think Cardiff are a mess. I think they're a mess.
You say even QPR though, and there's always one. What I've noticed from each league, there's always one that does all right the season before, but then has a downfall.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely think from Birmingham down, Birmingham, Huddersfield, Rotherham, Queen's Park Rangers, and Cardiff City. I genuinely think these three teams could do better than those ones certainly next season.
100%.
And I do, and I agree with Martin. I think the Championship's going to be the place to be next season. I think that's really going to be because you're going to have Leeds in there as well. Leeds trying to do a bit. Southampton. I think
Southampton could struggle. I honestly think Southampton could still struggle. I don't think they'll go straight back up or anywhere near.
I think Leeds are going to be a mess. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, Chris agrees that QPR, Birmingham, and Rotherham are going to struggle. So I think it'd be lovely for these three to stay up as well. As long as Coventry are competing again, that's all I care about now. Because I'm still really upset.
Same.
I'm really upset. So moving on to the next one. So promoted to League One. Now I will caveat this first of all by saying I missed a team off here because I'm not very akin to League One and League Two.
Should we let people guess what team are missing?
Yeah, because I didn't know. I didn't know. No one shoot me, please. If this is your team that I've missed out, I do apologize, but what do you want? What do you want from me? I'm just a man. I'm just a man. Do you hear me? I mean, I don't know. I got no idea. So anybody, we'll give you guys in the chat about 2 minutes to try and guess which team that I missed out that got promoted from League Two into League One. And just the chat is still catching up here. So it's 90 to 24 championship teams of former Premier League. That's what it's going to be the place to be. But I think Chris has got it. He said, "Where is Carlisle?" Who are Carlisle? That's what I want to say to you. Yeah, I did. I missed out Carlisle. Because I put the three teams in, I was on autopilot, and I forgot that there's more than three teams get promoted.
I was going to say, weird. Yeah. To be fair, the other two leagues have had 3 teams, so
I had a format that I was doing on my layout on my slides,
and they had to go mess it up.
Yeah. And I just didn't think. I was on autopilot filling it in. It's not my fault because of stupid promotion rules.
Who likes League Two anyway? We don't like League Two.
Yeah. That's what we're saying. Yeah, until like 2 years time, that's what we're going to be doing. And Finn Basket as well. Yes, it is. It is Carlisle that I've missed out. But yeah. So the winners were Leighton Orient.
Yeah.
And how did Leighton Orient do?
To be fair to Leyton Orient, they've had a brilliant season and they've kind of been up there throughout the whole thing. They went on a little bit of a blip, and then I opened my big mouth and said Stevenage would win it, and then Stevenage went on a really bad run. So I think that's why Leyton Orient have done so good. But yeah,
the jinx is real, people.
Yeah, no, yeah, I just think they're a really, really strong team, Leyton Orient. When we played them, they've got some really good players. They play some really good stuff as well. And they just never looked like going on a really bad run. They were always very strong.
And then should we move on to the next one? I mean, no, Leyton Orient, just because we've done it with everybody else, 27 goal difference. Now that's pretty low. That's one of the lowest ones.
That's League Two.
Because they were fighting. I mean, Chris is saying they did so well. He's so pleased with them, especially after the sad times in losing just in Edinburgh.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, that means nothing to me. So, Shaw, what happened? Who was just in Edinburgh?
Just in Edinburgh, we lost him a few seasons ago. He was actually the manager, and he was poorly. I can't remember what illness he had with him, but unfortunately, they did lose him. And obviously, Leyton Orient have been promoted now, which is great. But yeah.
Well, that's nice.
That's I do know bits about the story, but I'm not overly familiar with it.
And obviously, as somebody that very rarely watches below the championship, I know nothing, so I do apologise. In advance.
I think his son. I think his son plays for them.
I'm sure. I bet you Chris knows.
I know. You're putting me under pressure now, Josh. Sam doesn't do this to me.
That's because he just likes you more.
The truth's coming out.
Well, you keep calling him your bestie, so you can have
next week's Lite Fight home truths. When they all sit around the sofa.
Yeah, when they all sit on the sofa at the end of the season and just slag each other off. That's what so the next thing promoted there was Stevenage. What was Stevenage like?
Well, Stevenage, typical Steve Evans side. He's a very well-known manager across the Football League. And yeah, he just does what Steve Evans does. He signs some good players. But it's one of them with Stevenage. I am happy for him because they've always been quite a small club. And obviously, they've come from non-league and started a journey and obviously promoted now. So it's really good to see. And I know quite a lot of Stevenage fans as well. So I am really happy for them. But they've been one of them teams as well where, like I mentioned, I thought they were going to win it because they went on a really good run, but then they just hit a blip. We beat them as well. So I don't mean to tie, but we beat them. No, exactly. So they're on a really bad downfall. But they kind of... they managed to obviously get themselves over that and obviously went on to get automatics, which is fantastic for them because, like I said, they are quite a smaller club who have come from obviously down National League level and worked themselves up. So, yeah, I do like them stories.
I mean, and in the chat, Martin, just to let you know, Martin, I think you're probably a little bit behind us because your comment has only just popped up. So we weren't ignoring it or being disrespectful. So it's just popped up now to say Edinburgh went to a sudden cardiac arrest on the 3rd of June, 2019 by the Basildon Hospital. So so that is what happened there. So obviously that is sad, but it's lovely that the team were able to come up there. And that's nice. And he managed Northampton Town as well for a time. So 2 of his former teams going up. So which takes us nicely on to Northampton.
Honestly, Northampton have got a player that I think you've actually seen the tweet as well. He won an award and I think he got in like Team of the Year for League Two. But Sam Hoskins, and he's always been one of them players that obviously played for a different club, but every time he's played against us, I've watched him and thought he's a player, he's a baller, him. And honestly, he's a fantastic player. And Northampton, we got we got promoted a few seasons ago when we played Northampton, and there's a lot of there's been certain games as well with Northampton that I do like because we have a good record against them as well. So I do like them. They're, like I mentioned before, they're like a smaller club as well who've got some really good players, and they tend to be up there in League Two quite a lot, challenging from League Two, but they just don't seem to have the stability to then, go on to further than League One. And it's quite frustrating because they do play some really good stuff, Northampton, and some of the players they've got are really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, they've always, for me, I used to live not too far away from Northampton Town. I used to go to Northampton a lot. And they always struck me as that that was their level. They were good at that level. They weren't quite good enough to get up, but far too good to go down. And they just seemed like a solid industrial side, if you know what I mean. So it's nice that they've gone up. Are they going to stay there?
This is what I mean. This is the kind of problem with Northampton. They seem to be too good for League Two, but then in League One they tend to struggle. I think they have a couple of seasons or so where they do quite well in League One, but then it kind of obviously they go stale and they kind of drop back off to League Two. So I think they just need an extra push or that extra person to kind of help them get to the next step.
Yeah, I mean, Chris thinks he'll go down. Something that I didn't cover, the team that I forgot, Carlisle. How did Carlisle do? The forgotten Carlisle.
They were a strange one, Carlisle, because beginning of the season, they weren't doing too well. Your ex-Man City player. He's obviously been there before. He's had a few spells, obviously, at Carlisle, and he kind of put that buzz and the light back into them. And they were doing well. They went on a really good run. I thought they were going to get automatics, but likewise, they drifted off again. There was the teams in and around them. But I didn't think they'd win the playoffs. They were actually the one I didn't expect to go to Wembley and not win it. So I think it's brilliant, but I just don't see them staying in League One. I think like Northampton, they will come straight back down.
I mean, Stevenage, you think Stevenage is staying up or coming down?
It's a hard one with Stevenage because I don't know if they have the resources to stay up, but they have got a manager in Steve Evans. But I've noticed with Steve Evans, what he does, he can take a club up and he can stay there, but then obviously it tends to drop off as well. Obviously under Gillingham, he did the same. And I think that's the only thing with Stevenage that I can kind of say I can see them staying up. If obviously Steve Evans gets them to that, next step and kind of finds his feet in League One, because he's had experience before, but he has obviously got relegation under his belts as well. And like I mentioned, I don't think they have the funds that some of the teams in that league do have.
Yeah, I mean, which is Martin's point, is League One survivors down to good recruitment.
That is true. That is true.
Well, and you've got Leyton Orient. How are Leyton Orient? Do you think they've got enough?
I personally think Leyton Orient, out of them all, will do the better. I think they've got some good players. I think there's some clubs in League Two, not League Two, in League One at the moment that could struggle. What have been down there, I think Cambridge will struggle. I think, obviously, who was the other one? I can't remember off the top of my head now, but there's a couple of teams who I think will struggle because they've obviously been around like that area for the past couple of seasons. So I think Leyton Orient might just stay up, but I think it'll only be just. I don't think any of these teams will be challenging for playoffs or anything. I think they'll be lower end of the table.
I mean, Martin says saying with Morecambe, were they one of the teams that you were thinking of?
Had Morecambe gone down?
I thought they'd gone down to us. I mean, Chris is saying as well, Dale spent 7 years in League One, so his good management recruitment is key. You just don't know what's going to happen. Right. It was years. I thought it was years. Anyway, I edited you there, mate. But I mean, and it takes us on to the last one of promotions. Now, before we start, were there in fact only 2 teams that got promoted to League Two?
Yes.
I thought they were. I just wanted to double check. Yeah, the 2 teams that come up with Wrexham and Notts County. Which I know a little bit more about. I know more about Wrexham and the National League because if you haven't seen, Sam and I did a wonderful interview with Sean Winter from Disney Plus and Fox's Welcome to Wrexham TV show, where we talked to him all about Wrexham, meeting and pounding shots with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney and all of that jazz. Our best performing interview by a long shot, over 1,000 views. Madness. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. And Martin, he's saying he's such a fool. Morecambe went down and the nearest one was Oxford. You're not a fool, Martin. I missed out an entire team that got promoted. And the whole thing of today's pod was promoted teams. So don't worry. But yeah, both teams going up there with record points. Both of them with they just tore the back end out of that league. And I think if I was a Notts County fan, I'd be really pissed that in the year that you really perform well, you've got Wrexham performing the way that they have.
Do you know what? This is why I think from National League, there should be 3 teams that go up. And it's not just because of obviously your Wrexhams and your Notts Counties, but I just think it is like a League 3. I think it is just as good as obviously like the other leagues. And I think Chesterfield as well were unlucky to miss out. But Wrexham and Notts County, I kind of thought they would challenge for it in particular because they've got the finances, obviously. They've got quality players. That's all I can really say about them. And
why there isn't 3 teams going up? It doesn't make any sense to me at all, especially if you're doing 4 going up from one league. I mean, bloody hell, do them a favor. Why don't they take one of those teams off them and give it to the because I mean, the big thing for me, it makes such a difference financially. I mean, when I was watching the Wrexham documentary on Disney, they were saying the difference between staying in the Panorama National League and getting promoted was it would have worked out something like nearly £1 million over the whole of the season for them. And if that's a big difference to teams like that at that level, you've got to give them that opportunity. It's just not fair, is it?
No, and especially like I said, when you've got like teams like this, and to be fair, not a lot of people think this because obviously the lower league and stuff, but Wrexham and Notts County are big clubs, and it's not just because of the finances, it's because they have been in the Football League as well. I remember the times in League 2 and stuff, and when we got promoted to League 1, obviously Notts County did. I remember obviously those days, and your Chesterfields as well, Oldham. And it's just surprising how many clubs who were like in the Football League and up there have gone down. And like I said, it's just as competitive, and they're all pretty much full-time professional clubs as well. I think there was only, was it one last season, or am I on about the National League North now? I'm not 100% sure, but I think there's only one in these in this what was semi-pro. I think a lot of the clubs are professional now.
I haven't got a clue. Probably. But I mean, it's they deserve it. They definitely deserve it. It is competitive. I mean, if you look at the league, I mean, it's so tight between like third. There's only 9 points. No, tell a lie, 11 points between like 4th and 7th, and like 3rd and 7th. There's only 13 points in. I mean, that's 4 games. I mean, it's such a tight league. But like I said, I mean, Wrexham just tore it up, and they've got some players. I mean, and a lot of people will say, well, they only got promoted because of their money. Man City only win because of their money. That's football. That is like, but you can have all the resources, but it doesn't matter unless you do something of
Chelsea.
it.
Chelsea.
Exactly. I mean, I got to catch up with some of the chat here, because I agree with this point that Martin's made. He thinks MK Dons are going to struggle in League 2, and Wrexham have a huge chance of back-to-back promotion.
I think Notts County do as well. I'm not saying Notts County will go up, but I think they will be challenging for playoffs 100%.
Chris is saying he wants to see Notts County and how Macaulay Langstaff do. And Martin says as well, they are looking at the ongoing talks between the National League and the FL to change the structure to 3 up, 3 down. And then Chris is saying, we'll look at Scunthorpe. We've got relegated from National League and now play in National League North. It's hard. It's so hard. But I think, Wrexham, they have got quality players. I think Wrexham personally are definitely going to bosh away straight up. Notts County, I remember Notts County being managed by Sol Campbell under Sven Govan Eriksson is the most standout out memories of Notts County for me. And they had some bizarre players in. They had money for like half an hour, didn't they? And it just all disappeared. But yeah, I mean, I think definitely, are we in agreement on Wrexham? Then we think they're going to smash League Two.
I think it's a hard one because there's so many other big clubs in League Two as well. Like obviously you've got your Bradfords, you've got obviously Stockport have got money behind them as well. I do think Wrexham will get promoted, and I think they'll be one of the strongest team. But I just think in League Two there is also like your Bradfords and your Stockports. And even Salford, it's not been working like these past few seasons, but obviously we got to playoffs, and if they take the next step, so it's like you think of all the money between them clubs I've just mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So I do think they will definitely be up there. I don't know if they'll 100% smash it because it's obviously, I don't know.
I just think they've got too many players who are above League Two level. I mean, if they turn it on, people like Ollie Palmer, Paul Mullin, Bryce Hosanna, I mean, Jordan Davis in midfield is pretty good. If they keep Ben Foster and he manages to keep himself fit, that's a core spine of players that are just too good. And I would be amazed. I mean, if you see the passion that the owners have got at Wrexham, I'd be amazed if they don't invest and give it absolutely everything to go straight up. I mean, I could see him going straight to League One and then holding in League One for a season or two. But I think they're going to do it. And Notts County, do you think Notts County are going to be up there? Or
I think they'll be challenging up there, challenging for playoffs. I do.
Yeah. And I mean, I tend to agree because that's a safe bet. If you're not sure, agree with Charlotte and you'll be there or thereabouts. I mean, and then you will have noticed we haven't touched on promotions, on relegations, because that's sad. This isn't a sad podcast, so we're not going to do that. I mean, Chris in the chat, he thinks Wrexham will make the playoffs, but not the top 3. And I mean, and I do think they're going. And I think most of the teams that we've looked at, I think we've only predicted sort of two of the guys that are going up. I mean, it's only really the teams going in the Premier League, I think, that we believe we're going to struggle. The rest of them, we're quite confident in them, and it is because Championship to Premier League is a pig. That's a horrible jump. But we wish everybody all of the best. All your promoted teams, all we send is love and kisses and hugs and warmth and all that jazz. But I mean, we have ran about 25 minutes longer than anticipated because I'm crap at a light bite. but of course, we wanted to do the lower league a bit of justice. And if you enjoyed a bit of lower league, hopefully, God willing, next season we will have our own very special lower league pod hosted by the finest podcaster in all of lower league football, which everybody wants a bit of. I wonder who that is.
He's sacking me.
but I hope if you enjoy that, though, let us know if that's something you're going to be interested in, because it's happening anyway. So even if you don't like it, strap yourselves in, baby. But thank you. I mean, Chris is happy. I'm assuming he's happy. I'm assuming that he came was when we said we were going to do a lower league show, not when you said you were going to get sacked. That's the assumption I'm making. but
I hope so.
And Chris is happy as well. Look at that. I mean, and God willing, Charlotte will have her own team of people that know things, and so it's not just going to be me pretending to know things. There'll be people that actually know things, so that will be lovely as well. But thank you very much, everybody that's been in. I really appreciated the chat. You've all been lovely. You've all been lovely in the chat today. Thank you to Lisa, Finbar, Chris, Martin, Simon, Football United, And there was somebody right at the start whose name I have missed out. The Dugout Football channel. Thank you all for dropping. It's been lovely to have you. Thank you, Charlotte, for spending your Thursday evening with me. I hope I was a suitable substitute for you.
100%. Thank you for talking lower league football with me.
Oh, it was a joy. We look forward to it next season as well. But thank you, everybody. And thank you, Martin. Thank you all for being here. Hope you've had an absolutely delightful evening and have a wonderful, fiery, hot, roasty, toasty weekend. And kick your feet up. Have a lovely time. Charlotte, people are going to want to know where you are before we go. Where are you? Where can they find you?
I am on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. I am SharXRAFC. And if you want to keep up to date with my Her Game 2 stuff, that is Rochdale HGT on all of them socials as well.
And I'm FMFO_official if you want stuff that's just going to upset people and antagonize you to do with football. Am I out there? Damn strong football opinions. If you want to follow more of the football podcast, you should do. Absolutely. It's at Absolute Ball Pod on Twitter, on TikTok, at Absolute Football Pod, on Instagram, Absolute Football Podcast _. Make sure you follow all of those. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. It's free on YouTube. And thank you all much for being with us. Hope you have a lovely time. TTFN and ta-ta for now. Bye.